Hello, I'm Catherine Maguire. Welcome to the Soul Alchemist Podcast. If you are on a journey of personal or spiritual growth, you are in the right place. It's my desire each week to offer you wisdom, inspiration, and practical tools to help you remember and reconnect to the very essence of who you are, your inner gold, and be that in the world fully, wholeheartedly, joyfully, authentically. So thanks for choosing to hang out with me today. It is so lovely to have you here. We have a gorgeous podcast today. So last week, Evanna got in touch. Thank you, Evanna, with a great question. And her question is this: how do you keep the balance between protecting your energy and engaging with the world, especially when you are sensitive? I feel like the only way to keep my energy clear is to live within a very small circle and to tune out a lot of the world. But then I don't feel in touch with my friends or the world. How do you keep in balance? Such a good question. And last week, when Evanna sent this to me, oh my goodness, my mind just got so busy. It's like, oh, I want to talk about this. And oh, I want to talk about that. And I want to share all these tools. And I want to share all these tools. And it just turned into a huge thing that quite honestly could have been a weekend workshop on looking after your energy. And I was like, wow, okay, that's too much for a podcast. So my husband, in his wisdom, said to me, what's the actual point? What's the core of what you want to get across? And I went, oh, I don't know. And I had to unpack it all because, I've trained in energy medicine, I've trained in shamanism, I've trained in tantra, all these things where over the years I've learned what is energy, how to manage energy, what you do with your energy, how to clear energy, how to remove heavy energy from your energy, all these sorts of things. And I have such, I suppose, a wealth of experience and information. I was like, it's just not possible to put it into like a 25 minute podcast. So I was like, well, what do I actually want to talk about? And I realized it was less about the tools and less about kind of all the tricks of the trade and more about really the core of it, which is being the custodian of your energy and how to practice discernment around how you look after it. So that's what I want to talk about today in response to Evanna's question. And if you'd like me to do another podcast with kind of and elaborate on more of what we're going to talk about today or kind of go a bit further and deeper into it, I will happily do that. Or even if you wanted, we could do an online workshop, an online kind of Zoom workshop if you wanted to kind of have a kind of deep dive experience into it. But for today, what I want to focus on is, well, first of all, what is that energy body that is you? And how do you care for it? How do you practice discernment around it? How do you become the custodian of it so that you feel well and good in the world? All right, so let's just read Evanna's question again. How do you keep the balance between protecting your energy and engaging with the world, especially when you are sensitive? I feel like the only way to keep my energy clear is to live within a very small circle and tune out a lot of the world. But then I don't feel in touch with my friends or the world. How do you keep in balance? So let's start at the beginning. I want you with your eyes open for a second to take a breath. And as you breathe, imagine yourself as a being of light. Imagine yourself as a ball or an orb of energy or a ball or orb of light. And breathe into that. Take up some space. Take up some space. And as you breathe into it, let's really engage your imagination. So maybe if you were to have a sense of what color your orb or ball of energy is, what color is it? Or maybe it's multiple colors. Is there a fragrance that goes with it, or a smell, or a sensation? And again, we're just playing with that. I just want you to get a sense that you are this being, this orb, this ball of light, this ball of energy. And as you're breathing into that and feeling that, I want you to become aware of that your physical body, this beautiful physical body that you live in, that you inhabit, is only 5% of who you are. And your energy body is 95% of who you are. And we spend a lot of time looking after our physical body, which we should do. It's really important. Really important. Without it, we don't get to have this earth experience. So we spend a lot of time looking after it. But also we have the 95% that is our energy body. And often we don't spend a lot of time looking after it, but it's actually doing the lion's share, the heavy lifting when it comes to us being in the world. And we often don't turn our attention to it until we're feeling off or feeling frazzled or exhausted or whatever it is. So today we're going to give a little love, get a little bit of time, a little bit of attention to the 95% of you that is your energy body. Okay. And you are the custodian of this energy body. And it's really in our best interest to be in the custodian of it and to look after it well. Because when we look after our energy body, we feel centered, we feel grounded, we feel connected to who we are, we're connected to our creativity, to our wisdom, our intuition. All right. We feel well, we feel energized. When we don't look after it, our energy gets frazzled, it dissipates all over the place. And we can end up feeling tired or in extreme cases exhausted, which has an impact on our nervous system and an impact on our physical health. We can feel kind of just like at sea, that we're not quite here, can't like get clarity or can't get, your ducks lined up in a row. You're just out of sync with yourself. You're not connected to who you are. All right. So it's really in our best interest to be the custodian of our energy body. And what I want you to, there's a few things I want you to take away from today, but one of the things I really want you to take away from today is this: energy flows where your attention goes. Energy flows where your attention goes. So if we're to be a good custodian of this energy body, we have to be very mindful of where our attention goes. And, in the modern world, there's lots of things vying for our attention, whether that's social media, whether that's friends, whether that's our work, whether that's, advertising, whatever it is. There's lots of things that are just vying for attention. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's our responsibility to decide where our attention goes, because that's where our energy goes. And so there's external forces looking for our attention, but there's also us. So it's where we want to put our attention. So maybe we're worrying about something in the future, or thinking about something in the future, or your to-do list, or something that, has yet to happen, or worrying about something that has yet to happen. So that's one place our attention can be. And therefore that's where our energy is out in the future. Sometimes if you're like me and you're curious about humans and human nature, and you're a people watcher, you can be your attention, whether you're on the bus, the tube, in a coffee shop, where it is, your attention can wander into other people's conversations where you really have no business being, to be honest. And if you wander into other people's conversations, your energy is in there. And you might say, well, so-and-so, I saw this, these two people sitting down and one of them looked upset, or the child looked upset or in distress. It's still actually none of your business. That's a hard lesson I've had to learn over the years as someone who likes helping people. We are responsible for our energy unless we get invited into someone else's space, or unless there's something that it really seems like someone's in danger or distress. Really, we don't really have any business putting our attention or our energy in there. All right. And I know that can be really difficult for people to hear. And often I find with some people who say to me that, they're sensitive or they're empathic, often what trips them up time and time again is in that sensitivity, and that they're inadvertently in other people's energy. All right. So they don't have healthy boundaries. So part of it is, this journey I want you to take with me today is to know, where is your energy? Where is your energy? In any given moment, where is your energy? So it can be off, our attention can be off somewhere else, and that's where our energy's gone. Or what happens sometimes for some people is, if you had a very kind of traumatic or fraught childhood, and you were in a situation where you were always on high alert because you didn't know what was coming in the door, or you didn't know what was happening in the house, your energy is in high alert all the time. So it's like you're kind of like a panther up on her toes, ready to pounce, because you don't know, am I safe? Am I in danger? Do I need to run? Do I need to protect someone? So if you grew up in that, your energy is always looking over your shoulder. All right. It's never with you. It's always looking out, looking for danger, scanning for danger. All right. So Or maybe something happened in the past and your mind keeps going there, that you've got regret, you've got guilt, you've got sorrow. Okay. So my question to you today is, where is your energy? Is it out in the future, thinking about something that is yet to happen? Is it out away from you in someone else's business? Is it on high alert because you're so used to being fraught and watching out for danger? Or is it in the past because you're lamenting or regretting or feeling sad about something? So where is your energy? And remember, energy flows where your attention goes. So wherever your attention is, that's where your energy is. And if it's out somewhere else, it's not in you. So in this moment, where is your energy? And what I want you to do is call it back. Call it back into this moment and really call it back in. Call your energy, a bit like a vacuum cleaner. Suck your energy back in. And notice if you're resistant to doing that. Because although it's good for you, and although you'll feel better having your energy consolidated, some of us, we want to stay nosy, or we want to stay involved in a different conversation, or I don't want to come off high alert, or I want to keep lamenting about whatever that thing is in the past. So notice if you've resistance to pulling your energy into the moment. And it's not a judgment. It's not a judgment. But if you've resistance to pulling your energy into the moment, you need to make a little mental note of that. And that's where you need to do some homework. That's where you need to do some inner work to find out, why are you not willing to bring your energy into the here and now? Okay? That's the first thing. Second thing is, okay, let's assume we've all pulled our energy into this moment. Evanna's question is, how do we protect it? I want to change that slightly instead of going protection, because protection is quite a brittle energy. It's like we're standing on high alert. It's like we're guarding it. So I want to just change that for a moment and go, how do I care for it? How do I care for my energy? How do I look after my energy? All right. So you have this energy. It's finite. It does recharge. Okay. So it recharges by doing the things you love, by being out in nature, by, getting a good night's sleep, all those things. It does recharge, but it's finite, on a given day. So we want to care for it. We want to care for it. So one of the things that's really important when we're caring for this energy is to go, other people, if we let them in and kind of let them, imagine your energy is a fountain of energy, or a cup of energy. Are we pouring that out onto other people, giving our energy away? Are we letting people, take a cup of our energy? All right. And I see this time and time again. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it with my clients, is that we don't take good care of our energy because we're afraid of people thinking badly of us. So what do I mean by that? You don't want a person to think you're cold, or you're mean, or you're a bit kind of standoffish, or you're a bit rude. It's like, so you pour your energy onto a person or allow them to kind of take a cup of your energy because you don't want to appear rude. And if that's the case, there's a couple of things going on there, which is the not good enough. We're not willing, to believe that we're worthy of our own energy. And we don't have good boundaries. We don't have good energetic boundaries. So instead of feeling protected, I want us to kind of think about, how are our energy boundaries? Because Evanna is in the classic situation that so many of us are in. I've been here myself, all right, which is, I feel like the only way to keep my energy clear is to live within a very small circle and then tune out of what's happening in the world. All right. So that's what we do. We constrict. Here I am in my little bubble. Nobody's getting in. I'm just going to focus at the task at hand. I'm going to focus on what I have to do. I'm just keeping to myself. And that way I'm not losing energy and nobody's getting any of my energy. All right. But then what happens? We get lonely or we get bored. So we decide, oh, well, I want to go out into the world, which is the next part of our question, which is, but then I don't feel in touch with my friends or the world. So we open up and we go out in the world, and then we can go into overwhelm. And that's where we get tired and exhausted. And we go from all or nothing, constriction, expansion, constriction, expansion. But if we understand where our energy is, And if we understand that we don't have to be all or nothing, and if we understand that we are the custodian of this energy, there's a space in between. There's a space in between. And this, I want you to remember this. It's a line from Shakespeare, which is, to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. And if to thine own self you can be true, you are practicing discernment. And then you will know where your energy is and where you choose for it to go, not from a people-pleasing place, not from a trying to be nice place, but from what's true and right for you. So let me give you an example. Way back in the day, so I was probably in my early 20s, so we're talking over 30 years ago. One of the first metaphysical spiritual books I ever read was Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life. And it blew my mind. It just spoke to me on so many levels. So I, read this book, I absorbed this book, and I was really in that place of practicing positive thinking about myself, about the world, all that good stuff. And at the time, I was working in a photography shop in Baggot Street in Dublin. And Baggot Street at the time had a lot of offices. So I was in the shop on my own pretty much all the day, because what happened was, it was back in the day when we took, photos on a camera with a roll of film. So what happened was, in the morning time, the shop would be really, really busy. People on their way to work would leave in their roll of film to be developed. And then they'd go off to work. I'd send it to the lab. The film would come back in the afternoon. And when they came home, where they were going home in the evening, they'd pass it by, go into the shop again, pick up their roll of, or their packet of developed photos. All right. So mornings were really busy. Evenings were really busy. And in the day was kind of a dead kind of time. And like, we did sell other things. We sold photo frames and, different things. But they were the two real busy times in the day. And then around lunchtime, one of the girls would come up from, there was another branch over in Grafton Street. She'd come up, relieve me, and I'd go on my lunch. Okay. So this day, it was a Wednesday. In the afternoon, after lunch, this guy comes in the door of the shop. So the door opens, the bell goes over the door. This guy comes in, and my whole being, my core, my solar plexus just said scanger. Now, scanger, if you don't know, is a Dublin word, which means just dodgy guy, trouble, pay attention, right? That was my being said that. My mind, who had been reading Louise Hay and was working on, thinking positively, went, Catherine, don't judge a guy just because, of the way he's dressed, and maybe, his hair is a particular way and whatever it is, and maybe he's carrying himself a particular way. Just don't judge him. You've just gone into judgment. Be open, think positively. Okay. So the guy comes in and he asks me about developing a roll of film and how much does it cost and the whole thing. And I told him, and off he went. And a while later, I was behind the counter. I was doing something. I heard the bell ring. I looked up, and this guy comes back in the door at speed this time, runs towards me, jumps over the counter, pulls out a syringe. At the time, heroin addicts were robbing people by syringe in Dublin. Pulls out the syringe and tells me to open the till or he's going to stab me with the syringe. So I opened the till. He lifted the money part of the till out, and he told me to go down into the basement and not to come up. So I went down into the basement. I was completely terrified. All right. I stayed in the basement until I thought he was gone. I came up and I hit the panic button for the police. All right. And then eventually the police came. I was still shaken like a leaf. I was just a mess. I was so shook up, so terrified. All right. So a really traumatic thing. But here's the thing. Evanna's question, if I go back to the top, she says, how do you keep the balance between protecting your energy? So the truth of it is, if I had practiced discernment at the first instant, when my being said scanger, it wouldn't have got to the point where I needed to protect myself. So if I had listened to my being, my whole energy being, my 95% that said scanger and was trying to give me a warning, what would I have done? I would have possibly rung down to the shop in Grafton Street and said, there's a guy been in. There's something dodgy about him. Could someone just come up and hang out with me for a couple of hours? I could have gone into the shop next door and said, hi, a guy's been in. I don't feel safe. I'm feeling really uncomfortable about it. Could you keep an eye out for me? Or maybe just come in, get a cup of coffee and come in for a little while, just hang out. I could have rung the police station and said, a guy's been in. I'm on my own in the shop for the afternoon. I really don't feel safe. I could have done any of those things. But I didn't want to be a nuisance. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to ask for help. And I also was telling myself I was just being negative about this guy. And I learned the lesson. So we are getting that information all the time. And that goes back to Evanna's question, especially when you are sensitive. When you are sensitive, you are getting information about the world all the time. Our job is to be the custodian of our energy and respond to it. Okay. If we can respond, it doesn't get to the stage where we have to be defensive. At some points, we will need to be defensive, and that's okay. But instead of walking around in the world defensive and going from constriction, where I'm being really defended, really minding my space, and being defensive all the time is really exhausting, to being open and anyone can come into my space, and then it's like a free for all. And then that's okay until, I wear myself out or it gets too much or I get resentful that everyone's taking my time and my energy, and then I constrict again. Instead, if we practice discernment, using our sensitivity as the part that gives us the information, which is, I don't want to spend a lot of time with this person, or this doesn't really feel important for me to put my energy into it. Or, yeah, I know they seem really, excited to have me do this or want me to come, but, I just don't want to go. I just don't want to go, or I don't want to participate. If we at that moment can trust our own being to thine own self be true, then we are being custodian of our energy. All right. And I know some of you say, well, if that's the case, Catherine, I just never leave the house. I don't think that's entirely true either. I think we just have to be a little bit, sometimes it's like, we're just get a bit lazy and we go, I don't want to go out of the house. But if to thine own self be true, your being is going, actually, I'd like to step out into the world and do this or experience this or try this. All right. So the key to it is, where is your energy? Where is your energy in this moment? Where is your energy? Can you call it back in? Call it back in if it's in other places. And from this consolidated place, this place of you being custodian of it, where do you want your energy to go? Where do you want to put your attention? Do you want to put it into a project? Do you want to put it into hanging out with your friend for half an hour? Do you want to put it into having dinner with your partner? Do you want to put it into reading a book curled up with a blanket for the next hour? If you consciously choose where you want to put it and do that thing, then you will feel fulfilled, and then you can move on to the next thing. So maybe for an hour, I want to curl up with the blanket and read a book. But then when I do that and I check in with myself, oh, actually, now I'd like to talk to a friend. And then I'm on the phone for half an hour, and that's my energy more open and expansive. And then after that, you go, whoa, okay, that was lovely. But, I just want to kind of pull back inwards. I think I'm going to, do a little bit of work for half an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is. So part of that custodianship of our energy is that we're checking in with ourselves multiple times during the day to see, where is my energy? Where is I want to put my attention? And knowing that where I put my attention, that's where my energy will flow. All right. But often what we do is we leave it too late. We don't approach it consciously. And then we're further down the line. We're all frazzled. Our energy's all over the place. Or we've gone and kind of battened down the hatches and pulled in so that we've kind of bunkered in. And we've gone too far with it. Instead of checking in little and often, we let it go to an extreme, one way or the other. So what I want to leave you with today is Evanna's question again, which is, how do you keep the balance between protecting your energy and engaging with the world, especially when you're sensitive? Step one is know where your energy is. Know that you're 95% energy, and wherever your attention is, that's where your energy is going to flow. So choose carefully Where are you putting your attention? Are you giving it to a friend? Are you giving it to social media? Where are you putting it? Are you giving it to yourself? All right. Energy flows where your attention goes. All right. Use your sensitivity to know where you want to put it, where you want to put it. So that's part of the gift of sensitivity, to be in tune with your energy, to know what you want. All right. I feel like the only way to keep my energy clear is to live within a very small circle and tune out of the world. But then I don't feel in touch with my friends of the world. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It comes from, how do you get balance? How do you keep balance? You keep balance by checking in with yourself as you go through the day. And as you go through the day, to my own self, to thine own self be true. Where does my attention want to go? That's where my energy is going to flow. And in that way, we are responsive as opposed to defensive. And remember, if you have an issue around consolidating your energy, so I want to be in other people's business, I want to be nosy, I want to, be panicking or thinking about the future. I want to be in the past. I want to be, lamenting over that old thing. I'm still on high alert, from a traumatic childhood. That's where the inner work needs to be done. All right. So you're 95% energy. Call in your energy. Any resistance to your energy being in the present moment, that's where the inner work needs to be done. From having your energy in the present moment, as you go through the day, you are the custodian of that energy. Consciously choose, where are you putting your attention, and knowing that's where your energy will flow. And then at the end of the day, good energy hygiene. So maybe you have a shower. Maybe you have an Epsom salt bath. Maybe you do like a spritz with lavender oil or rosemary oil or something to clear your energy field. Maybe you just go outside and stand in nature and just kind of allow all your energy to drain into the earth. So there is an energy hygiene part to that, but it's better to do the upfront bit, which is, where's my energy? Is it in the present moment? Is it consolidated? Where am I putting my attention? Where is my energy flowing? And the more we do that consistently during the day, the less cleaning up we have to do later on at night or a week from now, a month from now, or whatever, when you feel your energy so zapped, so sticky, so drained. Okay. So here's my 2 thoughts with you for the week. Energy flows where your attention goes. And to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. So Evanna, I hope that answers your question. And for anyone else, if you have more questions on this, because it's a really big topic, it is a really big topic, please do get in touch. Evanna, if you have another question based on this week's podcast, get in touch and I'll do another episode on it. But let's start from here. Call your energy into the present moment. Remember your 95% energy. Think of the potential, think of the potency, think of the power of that. If you are in command of the 95% of who you are, think of the ability you have to alchemize your world. And let's start from there. Have an absolutely gorgeous week. Sending loads of love from this present moment, from me to you. Slán, agus ciao.